Welcome to Spiritual Warfare Anonymous, where real people share real experiences with spiritual warfare. Spiritual warfare is very real, and it can affect ordinary people in ways they don't always understand. Our mission is to spread awareness, encourage discernment, and share stories that may help others recognize patterns and regain their power. If you'd like to share your experience battling spiritual warfare, send your story to the email address in the bio. Now, let's get into today's story. Aubrey always believed college was supposed to be the beginning of his life, not the beginning of a war. At 18 years old, Aubrey left his small hometown and moved across the country to attend one of the most prestigious historically black colleges in America. His dream was simple: become a psychiatrist, help people heal mentally, and make his family proud. But there was another dream woven into his bloodline: fraternity legacy. His father was in one, his uncles were in one. Even his mother and aunts were deeply connected to sororities and Greek life culture. To Aubrey, joining a fraternity wasn't just networking. It meant brotherhood, protection, opportunity, belonging, especially so far from home. And Aubrey was the perfect candidate. Perfect grades, community service, well-spoken, disciplined, the kind of young man professors admired instantly. So when he applied to the same prestigious fraternity his father joined over 20 years earlier, he thought he was honoring tradition. What he didn't know was that someone inside that fraternity already hated him before they even met. His name was Stacy, and from the moment Aubrey crossed his path, something about him felt wrong. Not intimidating, not aggressive, just dark. The kind of darkness you feel before you understand it. At first, the hazing seemed normal compared to what Aubrey expected. Cleaning fraternity houses, physical drills, sleep deprivation. But slowly, Stacy started singling him out. It became personal. He'd force Aubrey to stand in front of the other pledges and insult himself for hours. Say you're weak. Say you'll never become the man your father was. And if Aubrey hesitated even slightly, Stacy would smile. That smile terrified him more than the yelling. One night, Stacy dumped an entire trash bag of rotten cafeteria food onto Aubrey's bed and forced him to clean it with a toothbrush while everyone laughed. Another night, they drove Aubrey miles off campus at 2 a.m., took his phone, his wallet, and shoes, then told him if he was worthy, he'd find his way back. He walked barefoot through gravel roads, bleeding for hours. Then came the psychological humiliation. Stacy would intentionally spread rumors about Aubrey to girls on campus, claiming he was unstable and arrogant. He sabotaged group projects behind the scenes, deleted assignments off shared drives, even tampered with Aubrey's alarm clock before exams. But the scariest part? Stacy always knew personal things about Aubrey, things he never shared. Comments about his father, stories from his childhood, private insecurities. It was like someone had studied him. And eventually, Aubrey learned the truth. Years ago, Stacy's father attended the same university with Aubrey's father and secretly hated him. The resentment had passed down like inheritance, generational bitterness, a war Aubrey never even knew existed. But Stacy's hatred went deeper than jealousy. There was something spiritually wrong with him. Aubrey felt it constantly, especially at night. For weeks during initiation, Aubrey started waking up in complete terror. He'd open his eyes at 3 a.m. and swear shadows were standing in the corners of his dorm room, watching him. Some nights he heard whispers, low voices telling him, "You'll fail. You don't belong here. End it." His anxiety became unbearable. He stopped sleeping, stopped eating. Even his grades, once perfect, started slipping. And every single time Aubrey tried to regain focus, Stacy seemed energized by his suffering, like he was feeding off it. The other fraternity members thought Stacy was just intense. But Aubrey knew better. His spirit knew better. This wasn't regular hatred. This felt ancient, demonic, and instead of breaking Aubrey, it pushed him closer to God. Aubrey started fasting regularly. He woke up early to pray before classes, walked nature trails alone to clear his mind, read scripture constantly. And strangely, he started praying for Stacy too. Not because Stacy deserved it, but because Aubrey realized bitterness was exactly what Stacy wanted inside him. And that changed everything, because suddenly, the things that once shook Aubrey stopped working. The whispers faded, the nightmares weakened, his confidence returned, and that enraged Stacy. Toward the end of initiation, Stacy became obsessed with breaking him publicly. Then came the final night, the last initiation ritual. 3 a.m., deep in the woods behind campus. The pledges stood in silence, surrounded by fraternity members holding flashlights. The air smelled like dirt, sweat, and rain. Aubrey noticed something immediately. None of the other pledges looked scared, only confused, because what was about to happen was only meant for him. In the center of the clearing stood a large wooden post made from logs and tree branches tied together with rope. Stacy stepped forward, smiling. "If your faith is real," he said softly, "prove it." A chill went down Aubrey's spine. The fraternity members tied Aubrey's wrists to the wooden post, while Stacy circled him, slowly holding a thick tree branch in his hands. Then Aubrey realized what this really was. Not hazing, a ritual. Stacy wanted humiliation, submission, suffering. He wanted to spiritually break him. "You think you're chosen because your family worships you," Stacy whispered close to his ear. "Tonight we see who really protects you." Then he swung the branch. Crack. The first hit slammed across Aubrey's back. The second hit came harder. Several fraternity members looked uncomfortable now. Even they sensed something had gone too far. Then came the third strike, but the moment the branch hit Aubrey, the thick wood snapped completely in half, and suddenly, flashlights appeared through the trees. Voices shouted from the darkness. "Police, don't move!" Chaos exploded instantly. Fraternity members scattered into the woods, running in every direction. But Stacy froze. The officers tackled him to the ground while he screamed violently, trying to break free. And that's when Aubrey saw it. Under the flashlight beams, Stacy's eyes looked completely black. Not dark brown, black. And the sound coming from his throat no longer sounded human. Even the officers looked disturbed. One officer turned toward Aubrey, still tied to the post. "What the hell were they doing to you?" Aubrey, exhausted and disoriented, whispered, "It was supposed to be my final initiation." The officer looked horrified. "No," he said quietly, "this isn't initiation." The university buried the story quickly to protect its reputation. Officially, Stacy was expelled for aggravated assault and unlawful hazing. He bonded out of jail weeks later on a massive bond and disappeared completely from campus. Nobody heard from him again. But Aubrey, he survived. Not just physically, spiritually. Months later, he completed his initiation properly under new leadership and officially became part of the fraternity his family spent generations honoring. But Aubrey never forgot what happened in those woods. Years later, he became exactly what he dreamed of becoming, a psychiatrist. And in his private practice, he often worked with people suffering from trauma, fear, anxiety, and emotional torment. Because deep down, Aubrey understood something most people never would. Not every battle people fight is visible. Some warfare attacks the mind first, and sometimes, the people trying hardest to destroy your future are the ones who recognized your light before you ever recognized it yourself. Years later, after Aubrey opened his psychiatric practice and finally found peace, he sat down with his father one evening and told him everything that happened at that university. The torment, the obsession, the hatred, even Stacy. His father went completely silent. Then slowly, he admitted the truth. This wasn't new. The same bloodline had been attacking their family for generations. Jealousy, competition, spiritual darkness disguised as pride and legacy. What happened to Aubrey's father years ago was nearly identical. But unlike Aubrey, his father never fully understood what he was dealing with. But Aubrey did. That's why the cycle ended with him. Because instead of becoming bitter, violent, or broken, Aubrey chose discipline, prayer, peace, and discernment. And sometimes that's how generational warfare truly ends, not through revenge, but through refusing to become what tried to destroy you. Thank you for spending this time with us here at Spiritual Warfare Anonymous. If this story resonated with you, helped you see patterns more clearly, or reminded you that you're not alone in your experiences, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Remember, discernment is power, awareness is protection, and sometimes understanding what you're facing is the first step toward reclaiming your peace. If you have a spiritual warfare experience you'd like to share anonymously, send it to the email address in the bio. Your story could help someone else more than you know. Until next time, protect your energy, trust your intuition, and stay aware.